as the chairman of the Hurling Welcome Committee, Marco Howard. Harry Kelly had a lifelong involvement with the Gaelic Club and with the GAAB. He was a Gaelic captain and he won the Junior Cup for the first time in 1982. And he also played a leading role in the famous match in the following year. He was honoured with the County Board Hurler of the Year Award in the senior year in 1984. He was a great stalwart of the league team of Bangor and started throughout the All-Ireland League campaign in 1993. Then he was a member of the national team who was 50 overrun in the final and Whitehead. The score of 4 points was very significant confidence in league wins. He also scored on the Leinster Wales Cup final in 1993. He also managed to play for the first Junior Cup for Saints in 2007. His involvement with the Junior was in his 40s, and when the varsity became clear again, he became very dedicated in his favour, working with the club and later at County Board level. He was served as the league representative of both Leinster County and Central County, and he is currently the vice chairman of Central Meath. Harry has maintained and enhanced the terrific family legacy of the GAA County, Hurling in particular. Part of also having the company team won the All-Ireland Junior Final in 1947 and gave us 20,000 to go to the GAA. Please let's hear a big happy round of applause for the Mayor and me, Harry Kelly.
Good afternoon, folks, and you're very welcome back to Park Talton for the Meath Senior Hurling Final between familiar foes in Trim and Ratoath. Of course, infamously clashed here in the 2020 decider, played in 2021 due to the COVID pandemic, and it produced one of the best and most memorable finals in recent times. And they're lining out to do battle once again. Here in Park Talton. It's a wet and windy and stormy Park Talton. Only a few handful of brave souls are taking on the elements over on the far side in the terrace in this weather, and everyone else is packed into the stand like sardines. So we'll run you through the teams. There's one change on the Trim panel, or two changes rather on the Trim panel. Gary Fleming and Bino Dowling drop out, and coming in place of them is Dimmy Higgins and the number 19 Mikey Cullen, Magic Mikey as he's affectionately known over in the Trim parts. In goals, where number 1 is Charlie Ennis, 2 Jerry Dwan, 17 Dimmy Higgins and 4 Ben Holden, 5 is Kieran O'Rourke, 6 and captain the side is James Tower, and 7 is Conor Quigley, 8 Dylan Farrell and 9 is David Murtagh, 10 James Murray, 11 James Andrews and 19 Mikey Cullen, 13 is Mikey Cole, 14 Alan Douglas and 15 is Joey Cole. For Ratoath there's one change. Number 18 Donald Rogers comes in place of the injury stricken Cormac Butler. In goals for them, where number 1 is Grog Crowley, 2 Keane Kelly, 18 Donald Rogers and 4 Conor McGill, 5 is Dara Kelly, 6 Ben McGowan and 7 Conor Ward. Porrick O'Hanrahan wears 8 and he's joined by Niall McLaren wearing 9, 10 is Dahi McGowan, 11 and captain the side is Jack McGowan and 12 is Porrick Byrne. 13 is Keane Rogers, 14 Bobby O'Brien and 15 Gavin McGowan. There's going to be a minute silence for the tragedy up in Donegal that happened over the weekend. we're going to pause for Aaron Naveen now in Park Talton. It resembled something more like an introduction to a James Bond movie, and it's still going, Colm O'Malley. It's probably one of the more unusual renditions of Aaron Naveen. As a Gaeilgeoir like yourself, you could have went down and maybe sung it.
I don't know, was that on 0.5 speed there, Davey? It seemed to be one of the slowest versions of the Aaron Naveen. I noticed the trim team had enough of it and they broke up and got into their positions before the end of it, so maybe that'll dampen the crowd a little bit, but hopefully after the first few exchanges these two teams will get out and get the crowd lifted.
Yeah, I don't think they'll need too much encouragement for that. Your overall thoughts on it, Colm? I suppose what a clash it was 2 years ago when we were here to see it. Extra time it was needed to split them. It's expected to be just as tight today.
Absolutely, yeah. We were talking before, Davey, and it was really hard to know what the difference might be between these two teams. That clash, as you mentioned, maybe Ratoath felt that if the game was played and wasn't delayed by the pandemic, they had the momentum, maybe they could have got the win. A lot of lads will still feel that. Trim will obviously dispute that. It's hard to know with the form books coming in. No team has it really liked it, Davey, but I was thinking maybe with the conditions are probably worse than what it looks like here on the video, that maybe Ratoath, the slightly bigger team, the slightly more physical team, probably slightly older team as well, Davey. Trim probably coming in with a lot of young lads. Maybe I might fancy them just to pull out the victory here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was evidenced by the fact that Niall McLaren's shot there just went almost into the hospital with the aid of the elements on that occasion. So it'll take a little bit of getting used to. And here is the late addition to the team, Magic Mikey they call him. Mikey Cullen. He's got magic in those boots and he's won a free in. Pulled back by referee Stephen Masterson. Huge occasion for Stephen Masterson from the Kildalkey club. Really, I suppose, up and coming referees. Really not long at a column, and he's progressed through to this stage. He's one of the outstanding referees we have in the county, and he's made a good early call as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Davey, and he's always a man to wear a good pair of boots. He likes the old Adidas
socks as well.
The socks, yeah, like he looks after his appearance as well, makes sure the beard is nicely trimmed as well. So this is a big day for him, great day for him. Delighted that he's got the final. But you see Mikey Cullen, when Mikey Cullen's on form there, Davey, he can be a very dynamic player, and a good start from him in this game.
Yeah, and this is a chance for James Murray to get a good start for Trim, and he does just that. James Murray puts Trim a point to the good after just less than 2 minutes of play, and a fine start for them. He's an expert free taker, and with that breeze behind him, we've seen how strong it was and how important it was in the first game, in the minor game, Colm. It's going to be equally that in this one.
Absolutely, it is very strong, Davey, and we probably underestimated in the minor game the strength of it. We saw Trim in the second half really pushed on, so it is the advantage of Trim with that breeze. Interestingly, you'll see how organised Trim will be in this puck out. So I was chatting to this man, James Tower, and he's saying they did a lot of work on the puck outs, on the tactics, so you'll see how they organise themselves when on their puck outs and the opposition puck outs.
Lovely ball by Alan Douglas inside, really acute angle for Joey Coley. Tried to squeeze it past Gearóid Crowley, but nothing doing on that occasion. But lovely wizardry from Alan Douglas, who of course infamously hit the winning score deep into injury time and extra time when the sides met in the 2020 decider. Broke a huge barren run for Trim. I think Ratoath are going for the first championship in something like 50 or 60 years nearly today, and they're trying to get their first score of the game with Porrick Burns striding forward, but Trim have a good turnover in their own half back line. Kieran O'Rourke is the man to mop up possession, and here's the big physical prowess of James Tower striding forward, riding challenges like fun and pull back, and that's a big psychological free. You can see her, the energy from the Trim supporters.
Absolutely, yeah, the big man at centre back there winning that free. You'll notice, Davey, he does have a bit of a wrapping around the calf. He is carrying a knock on his calf coming into this game, but it doesn't look like it's bothering him too much on that occasion.
James Toher generally, more often than not, does be carrying the odd knock, but he is fit and firing today. He is in at centre half back where he's so accustomed to playing for both the footballers and the hurlers nowadays. Great dual player, one of many in the Trim club. And here's another one, James Murray, gifted hurler though, and he's already got one free. He's trying to double his tally for the day. Umpire has a good look at that, but it's dropped to the left and it's gone wide. First wide for Trim, 1 point to no score in favour of the Trim men after 3.5 minutes here. Puck out going to come from Garrod Crowley. Crowley elects to go long, and that's read well on that occasion, and frustration for their midfielder David Murtagh. Just couldn't get that under his spell, and it's been just shoveled out over the sideline for a line ball for Ratoath to be taken by possibly Keane Kelly on this occasion. Pitch is quite damp, but still looks like it's in pristine nick. The kids are doing Thierry Henry knee slides down to our left as well. You might pick up that column as well. They're having a great time, but little or no interest in the game. But Thierry Henry will be proud, back in the good old days of 2003, 2004. These are good days though for Ratoath and Trim as well, and of course, Ratoath on for maybe an historic double. They're in the football final next weekend when they take on the Meath of Summerhill, looking to make it a first double in almost 40 years. And huge scuffle breaking out here. Look at the Michael Conley down in amongst it, the Waterford man. He's a big physical presence as well, the Ratoath manager, and he loves to see that sort of aggression from his side. And they've, in the early stages, they've matched Trim, and it's finely poised.
They certainly have, and Davey, Ratoath really have those big men all around the field. Obviously the four McGowns, all clear and 6 foot. You got the Kellys there as well. So real strong physical team, and that time Jack McGowan didn't get the strike away. Another late bit of shoving off the ball.
Yeah, they don't really like each other, these two sides, and Alan Douglas has been hauled to the ground by Ben McGowan. Again, nothing really in it, but they're just getting to know each other. Stephen Masterson will have to have eyes on the back of his head, and he mops his brow, and well he should, because he's got another hour of it ahead of him. But he's got two good linesmen in Kieran Flynn and Martin Dawson available to him if he does decide to utilise them throughout the hour. Lovely sideline cut as well, great distance got on it, but James Toher was intelligently sweeping in behind, and a nice ball played into space. But Ratoath back in weight and numbers, they'll go quite defensive in this first half, I would imagine, try and damage limitation possibly, and make sure that they're still in the game in the second half. Oh, what a hit on Porrick O'Hanlon, but it did catch him, I think, forward, so it is going to be a free. I think that's the right call, but there's hits going in left, right and centre. I bet you love this. I think you'd love to be involved.
It's great to see, Davey, great to see. And interesting with Porrick O'Hanlon, he's probably one of the informed hurlers in the county at the moment, Davey, so he's going to be a key man for Ratoath, coming up against possibly a younger midfield there of Dylan Farrell and David Murtagh. Normally Alan Douglas might come out the middle of the field at some stage, but here's Podge taking it short, it looks like. He's
gone short, and he's tried to play it up towards their corner forward Cian Rogers, who's been in stupendous form as of late in both hurling and football, and goalkeeper's a long way from home, and I don't know, did he know a whole pile about that, and it was almost blocked down. Podge O'Hanlon is trying to get to it. It's broken free to Niall McLaren, and McLaren's already had one chance at the post. He's going to try and spoon this one forward, and it's picked up really well by Jack McGowan, the captain, trying to engineer some space for himself, but Trim back in numbers, and it's there still for Bobby O'Brien, who became a dad for the first time last week. He's had a few sleepless nights, I'm sure, and that wasn't just in fear of what maybe Trim were going to produce today. Long ball into space, crossing the 45, picked up well by Mikey Cullen. Cullen trying to check one way, then dishes it off the other side, and he picks out Cole. This is Mikey Cole, and Cole has a shot at the post, and Cole has a score. Lovely finish by Mikey Cole. 2 points to nil now to Trim. That was lovely intricate play, Colm, and a fine finish at the end of it by this supremely talented corner forward Cole.
Yeah, and good defending at the back there from Trim. They'll be really delighted with that. Getting the turnover, possession is going to be all important. Again, Mikey Cullen, he looks sharp there coming out for that ball. Maybe a bit of an unorthodox style to him, but he gets the ball off to Cole, and Cole is a fantastic hurler. He'll be really well able to score from any distance here today.
Yeah, 2 points to nil to Trim. We have played 7.5 minutes of this first half, and Stephen Masterson said there was a jersey pull on Daithí McGowan, so it is going to be a free in. Interesting to see if Podge McGowan maybe has a crack at the post this time around. He did elect to go short last time, but Daithí McGowan's given him a good option if he wants it, but he might have a go at this. I would say it's well within his range, Colin.
Yeah, Podge is well able to score this. Maybe just the breeze against him, maybe that's why he went short the previous time, maybe the wet ball, but he's well able to strike this distance, so I'd expect this to go over.
Yeah, he looked to set it off a little bit to his left and try and let the wind do the rest then, and caressing the ball inside the near hand upright. Let's see how he gets on. Podge O'Hanlon cuts across it. He does just that, and it just hangs on. Wonderful score by Podge O'Hanlon. He was looking at it anxiously, Colin, but he's a expert free taker.
That'll do his confidence. Not that he needs a confidence boost or anything, Davey, but you know yourself, in a final like that, it's always nice to get the first score on the board. Sometimes it's nice to get an easier free, something close to goal, and that was quite a bit of distance in it, so he'd be delighted with that just to settle anything down.
Absolutely. 8.5 minutes gone. Ratoath are on the board. 2 points to 1 in favour of Trim, and here goes Gavin McGowan. He's been in unbelievable form, and that was a really late sort of bell to the hurl from Jerry Dwan on that occasion, and Stephen Masterson pulled him up straight away. McGowan has stayed down on his front, and Dwan is probably going to go into the referee's notebook here straight away, and he has. Early yellow card dished out by Stephen Masterson, and I don't think Jerry Dwan can have too many complaints about that, Colin.
No, I don't think so. I think the stick certainly maybe across the legs, and maybe he got contact with the hurl as well. Gavin McGowan went down straight away, and as you said, Stephen Masterson had no hesitation there to brandish the yellow card, so Jerry Dwan, he'll have to be careful for the rest of the game. Absolutely,
and particularly if he's picking up Gavin McGowan, because I think he got 5 or 6 points from play in their semi-final victory against Kiltale the last day, so he's a man in tip-top shape at the moment, and he'll take a little bit of minding throughout the course of the afternoon. Podge McGowan, or sorry, not Podge McGowan, Podge O'Hanrahan, he's already got a free to his name, and he's going to have another crack at this one. This one's slightly to the right, so he might just have to go back on himself and hit this towards the far left hand upright, but just going through the usual routine, and he's going to come up to strike it just inside the opposition 65, and he's hit that really well, and he's hit that right between the posts. He's settled in really well, Colin, and I think that'll bode well for Ratoath as well.
Absolutely, and you might see a bit of a pattern this, Davey. Ratoath, big, physical, strong. They might be taking on their men, testing them physically, testing them. Can they stand with us to pace the power that we have? Because we know we have Podge O'Hanrahan who's able to convert those frees if they are fouled.
And every score Ratoath get against the breeze will feel like a real bonus one at that. And here goes O'Hanrahan, busy as ever, flicks a lovely ball inside towards Bobby O'Brien. Bobby O'Brien is well snuffed out on this occasion by the Trim defenders and played up front towards Dimmy Higgins. He's a late addition, but he played the last day and he played extremely well, got 2 points as well, so not really too much of a surprise to see him included from the start here. Diagonal ball goes up towards the Ratoath forwards. Vying for possession on that occasion was Big Jack McGowan, but McGowan relinquishes possession to Trim, and Trim try and get a score of their own. Mikey Cullen almost let that ball beat him and tries to scoop it up, and he's been challenged all the time by Donal Rogers. Lovely ball inside towards Douglas. Hasn't really found his form, Alan Douglas, this year. He's done well though to put pressure on Conor McGill coming out, and that's going to be a free in to Trim. Just talking about Alan Douglas, I suppose he had no real break, and he's an elder statesman nowadays, Colin. Like, obviously Trim's campaign with the football went into this year, and there was no real break as such for the likes of Dougie, and he's maybe found it hard to recapture and rekindle some of that outstanding form that we've seen from him over the last couple of years.
It is a long road, Davey, for a lot of these lads, like you said, deep into the intermediate All-Ireland Championship, straight into senior football, playing both codes as well. Fantastic servant to the club. In fairness to Dougie, he doesn't get injured that much, but perhaps that leads to a lot of wear and tear in the body, and he gets tired as well. But the thing with Alan Douglas is he has class oozing out of him, and he's a big game player as well. You mentioned earlier on he came up with those winning scores. This is what he lives for. He'll feature today, no problem.
Yeah, and he's helped to get that free to put Trim back in front, converted with aplomb by James Murray, and Ratoath trying to hit on the counter offensive. Bobby O'Brien involved. He's happy to play it off to Podge McGowan. Podge McGowan, oh wow, that was touched off by Charlie Ennis, but it's straight into the path to Gavin McGowan. Gavin McGowan with a chance. Brilliant block down by Ennis, and then improvises in just ushering the ball away to safety. It's still there for Gavin McGowan. He's just going to loft this one into the square. It's quite dangerous. and possession is still up for grabs. Dahi McGowan is in there. It's come to Cian Rogers, and it was a superb block by Dimmy Higgins. Trim living on their nerves a little bit back there, but in Charlie Ennis they've got an outstanding keeper who, without him, they probably wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, I don't know, did Charlie think it was going wide or something? Maybe he was a little bit nonchalant with that one, but he made the save and then he came out and made the second save as well. And bodies on the line there, Dimmy Higgins and Ben Holden as well. Dimmy Higgins, I see there in social media, he says his pre-match routine there the night before, Davy, he likes to get a 4-1, but a deconstructed 4-1. I never really knew that this was a thing, a deconstructed 4-1, where everything is separate. He says he can't have it on the one tray. He likes all the elements separate. So that's an interesting night before routine that Dimmy Higgins has.
I sincerely hope that their manager Jimmy Canty isn't reading that, because I can't imagine he'd approve of 4-1s as nice as they are.
You'd be surprised, Davey. I was looking at the social media, a lot of them put takeaways as the night before routine. One of the lads said they have pizza and a takeaway as well, but Dimmy's a very fit man. We met him there when we were doing the Guinness Guru around Trim there. He showed us into Leenahan's and he said we need to try the pint of Guinness in there, so he'd be well up for this today.
He will, as will Podge O'Hanlon, who's put this one to the right and wide. Just on Dimmy Higgins, he's an absolutely outstanding golfer as well. Probably one of the best golfers in the county of Meath as a whole. And that usually takes up his time if he's not hurling. He's a very good footballer too, but just doesn't really commit to the football because of the time in which golf and hurling takes up. Free out to Ratoath, and score still 3 points to 2. Relatively low scoring, almost at the end of the first quarter. And I think Ratoath will be probably the more pleased column, based on the fact that Trim have the breeze and Ratoath have sort of nullified them to a large extent so far.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that Ratoath looked to get some change by winning those frees as well, and they're able to go. I know Podge O'Hanlon missed that run recently, but they're able to get those scores, and that's a great score there.
Oh yeah, Cian Rogers, absolutely brilliant by him. It was a lovely ball into him as well. I think by Dara Kelly from the free. Lovely diagonal ball, claimed out in front by Cian Rogers, checked inside to his left and finished it brilliantly. Level pegging once again, 3 points apiece. We have 15 minutes gone.
Absolutely, and Cian Rogers is a man who's in serious form for the footballers as well. In fairness to Ratoath, great job at getting these lads to play both sports, football and hurling. You've got the likes of the McGowans, the Kellys. Podge obviously plays with Curraha, but you've got Cian Rogers as well, who's a really effective footballer as well. So obviously Conor McGill, Brian McMahon. So it's great to see these lads playing football and hurling for their club.
Yeah, huge collision there, resulting in this line ball to Trim, and it's going to be taken by James Murray. And you just wouldn't rule out this ball going between the sticks. He is a supremely talented and skillful hurler, and he's more than capable, if he gets the sufficient connection on this, to put it between the sticks. There's a big turf of the grass actually been taken off as well, so that'll be work for the groundsman probably tomorrow or maybe even this evening to get it right for next weekend, and no doubt they will. John McBride and his team of groundsmen here in Park Talton. Murray hits that brilliantly, and I did kind of call it. He's got that in his locker column. What an absolutely terrifically executed sideline goal.
Yeah, and we saw some great sidelines in the minor game earlier on from some of the Trim boys, and we're obviously seeing it again there from James Murray. You saw the gasps and the elation from the Trim faithful here, loving that piece of skill there from James Murray. What a score. And
it noses Trim back in front, 4 points to 3. We'll do well to see a better score than that probably for the rest of the year, but we live in hope. Garrod Crowley going to take the restart for Ratoath. Green helmet hasn't got much of a connection on that actually, and it's sort of skewed off his hurl, and unluckily for him it's landed in the form of James Murray. Could have been a free possibly there. Instead it's played off towards Andrews. That's James Andrews, son of the great Shivers, and he's put it to the left and he's put it wide. I think he's going to be over, is it possibly the under 18s or under 20s Meath team next year as well, so a great coach as well as player.
Absolutely, yeah, and he's an important player. That half forward line, that's going to be a key battle area. You've got Ben McGowan and Dara Kelly there up against the likes of Murray and Andrews, so whoever can get some headway there. Here's Podge on a run.
The ball is squirted loose to Podge O'Hanlon. Huge frontal charge, it's fallen forward to Gavin McGowan. McGowan point. Possibly wanted the goal, but he got the point in the end, and he'll be more than pleased with that. Again, it's all about Podge O'Hanlon though. He's cutting through the lines time and time again, and he's causing a real nuisance of himself, and he's quite content to play the ball left and right where the opportunities present themselves.
He is, Davey, but there's a little bit of worry I think on the Ratoath side, because Podge O'Hanlon is limping a little bit after possibly that collision there as he burst through. It looks like he'll be fine. He's not calling for any attention, but that'll be something that they need to worry.
It's in the net! It's gone right the way through. I'm not sure who had the shot coming in. I think it's Andrews actually. He has his hand aloft. Garrod Crowley won't want to see that one again. It was really innocuous ball played long into space, and Crowley should have really dealt with it. It slipped through his palms and squirted into the back of the net. It's a horrendous mistake from the goalkeeper, but what a tonic it is for Trim.
Absolutely, you'd feel sorry for Crowley. Maybe a little bit unnerved with that puck out that kind of just went a little bit astray. He didn't strike it properly, like you said earlier on. Came out for it. Maybe he misjudged the wind. Greasy ball. It's greasier than it looks like here in the video. Who knows? But it's a big moment in this game, Davy.
It sure is. And Trim lead by 3 now. 1-4 to 4. Ratoath went seeking a response, but that went to begging, and they've given up possession once again. Cole and Conor Ward. It's going to go out for a sideline to Ratoath, but that goal could be absolutely crucial for Trim, because they were struggling to assert themselves on this game, and you always felt, similar to the first game, the first goal on a day like this in particular, Colin, was going to be hugely important, and Trim have it.
Absolutely, and even yesterday with as the sideline goes straight, even yesterday with the junior game and the intermediate game, it was more of a low scoring game, and a weekend like this, those goals are going to be all important.
Here goes Alan Douglas. I think that's come back inside. It has. What a score by Alan Douglas. Looked like it was tailing off. An incredible effort from Dougie, and Trim are full of it now. One without reply, and Alan Douglas gets his first of the day, and Trim lead by 4.
Yeah, and that was a funny one, Dave, because as it left his stick, it looked like it was going wide, but like you said, he judged it perfectly. It was coming in, so Douglas off the mark here.
Off the mark at Trim, looking to build on this really strong purple patch which they're enjoying currently. Long ball again into contention. Conor McGill, Meath senior football full back, but a terrifically gifted hurler, is surely foul coming out there. I think he can feel aggrieved that he hasn't got a free there, in my opinion anyway, and Alan Douglas is trying to make the most of it, but recovering is the midfielder Niall McLaren, and he did extremely well. Then plays it long into space. Cian Rogers makes the run, trying to keep it in, tight for room over on that far side. Trademark Jenkins side, effort over the shoulder. It's dropping dangerously in and around the house. Gavin McGowan is trying to get there, but Charlie Ennis comes out, really commanding goalkeeping once more by Ennis, and a lovely ball distributed down the pitch as well towards Murtagh. Murtagh has a control that one, and he slipped over it. He's managing to almost get in a sticky situation with the flag as well. It's breathless stuff at the moment.
It is, yeah, and I was about to say, just up to that bit of play there, that everything seems to be going Trim's way. I think, like you said, maybe Conor McGill could have got a free there. Maybe that ball bouncing nicely for Charlie Ennis in the goals. He did well to come out with it, but just up to then, Ratoath got this nice break that they'll get possession back with this sideline.
And it's O'Hanrahan, doesn't get the strongest of connections on it, but possession is still there for him and for Ratoath. Huge hits going in all over the pitch. That's a lovely pick-up by Podge O'Hanrahan. Was he being held back? Martin Dawson has the flag up, and he's going to give a line ball, I think, to Trim. There's no real room anywhere, is there? It's one of those, like, that was a lovely flick up by Podge, but he had no place to go because he was just converged by 2 or 3 players.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought he might have kept the ball in, but obviously the linesman is a lot closer to us. But yeah, lovely pick up there from Podge. He's really come into this game strongly. He's finding it hard to find space, like you said, Davey, and that's probably what Trim want. They want to crowd out Podge O'Hanrahan and not give him chance to get shots away, so you have to give credit from Trim around the middle for that regard.
James Toher standing over this, and he's going to flex his muscles literally and metaphorically in cutting across that ball and playing it into contention where the run was being made by Porrick Byrne, and great cornerback play this time by Cian Kelly over the shoulder from Jack McGowan inside, but it was well watched by Kieran O'Rourke on this occasion, and O'Rourke is quite happy to hand pass it across towards Toher. Toher plays a lovely diagonal ball. Cullen made the run, and he looked like he could have been wrestled to the ground, but again maybe just lost his footing. Cole makes the offer. It's Conor Ward with him, stride for stride. Ward trying to get that up onto the stick, but it's difficult in doing so. It's like a bar of soap out there at the moment, and Cole once again pulled on loosely, and it's just going to harmlessly go out over the sideline. And James Murray, no surprise to see him going out and having a look at this one. It's a little bit further out. It's probably midway between the 45 and 65, but the one we've seen underneath us here had loads more on it, so he might have a crack at this.
I mean, why not? If you can strike a ball like he struck that previous one, and it looked like that previous one, he didn't even give it everything, so maybe he has a bit more in the tank here. And maybe if Trim, I see Dougie there going in towards the square, maybe he'll anticipate it dropping short into the square.
Yeah, 23 minutes almost gone. 1-5-4 in favour of Trim, 2020 champions, and he's absolutely done it again. Oh my word, this is exhibition stuff, Colin Whaley. I don't know if you've seen the like.
This kind of stuff has to go viral, Davey. I see the young lads here just saying, oh my God, and standing up at the excitement of this exhibition of sideline cuts that is going on from James Murray. What play from him.
An incredibly talented hurler, and he's demonstrating it on the big stage on county final day in Park Talton. 1-6 now to 4. Ratoath need a reply. Can they get it in the form of Gavin McGowan? Good play by Jerry Dwan. As you said, treading carefully with that yellow card, but doing it well. Long ball played up into space. Andrews went to flick it on, and he gets the little return from Douglas, and he was hauled down. That's a really good call by Stephen Masterson. Would have been easy to give that Trim's direction, but we had a great view of it, almost straight on, and he definitely hauled down the Ratoath man. Good call by the referee.
Absolutely. I think that's Derek Kelly who went in for it. He was just playing physically but playing it fair, and then the Trim man pulled him down, so it is a free out. But just on the Ratoath side, I think it's great to see Jack McGowan and Bobby O'Brien, lads who've struggled really with injuries over the last couple of years. Bobby O'Brien in particular, great player, underage for Ratoath and under 21, etc. And now he's got back into both teams, the football and hurling, which is great to see. Jack McGowan is another man, has a lot of trouble with his hips. He gets up early on a Wednesday morning, goes into Ciaran McDonough to do this special training because he finds it difficult to train too much on a pitch. So delighted for those two boys to get back fit and healthy for Ratoath.
Here's Dara Kelly putting loads of purchase on that, and it was almost flicked on, but it's just gone harmlessly out to the right and it's gone wide. As the sliding continues behind the goal, they're just taking turns and sliding down. The groundsman will have some crack at that when he sees it in the morning, but the young fellas are having their crack and fun, so that's all that really matters. Supporters in the stand absolutely engrossed by what we're watching. 1-6 to 4, 25 minutes gone. 5 minutes of what's been a pretty frantic and breathless first half of action, and trying to find a little bit of room as Coley's improvised and flicking that over the shoulder. It's a lovely ball into the path of his brother Mikey. Mikey back in turn to their midfielder Dylan Farrell. Farrell cuts across that. Has it come back inside for him? I don't think it has. It's dropped to the left and it's gone wide. Clear indication from the umpire, and the margin remains at 5. Gerard Crowley naturally is quick to get things moving again for Ratoath. Long ball again, but James Murray, the man of the moment, picking it up, and again, lovely bit of play and really elusive sort of play by him, but the pass just doesn't go to hand on this occasion, and it's picked up by Ratoath. That's a really poor ball though, and it's cut out at source by Conor Quigley. This guy's an absolute talent. Is he going to get the score? It's dropping short. Crowley will just want to be careful with this one, and he turns back outside, and credit to him, after the last one it would have been easy to just lash that one away, but he was really composed when he got it, and Ratoath could try and muster another attack here. It's possession very much up for grabs in the midfield, and it's picked up by big James Toher trying to stride forward in trademark fashion, doesn't get the connection he wanted, but still he goes Toher, then plays it off towards Murray. Murray cuts across that. Is it going to come inside the upright? Yes it is. James Murray yet again. Some first half of action here, and James Murray is absolutely to the fore.
Yeah, great performance from James Murray so far in this game. Good work from James Toher. We'll have to slag him for that fresh air. He completely missed the ball there and taking a shot, but certainly recovered well. Got the ball out to the man who is in form, James Murray, and he slots it over the bar.
It's now 1-3 without reply for Trim. Ratoath need a score, and they need it urgently. They trail by 6 with 26 minutes on the clock gone, and striding forward trying to get a free on that occasion was Dara Kelly. He's done well to play it off to Porrick Byrne, who plays it inside towards Gavin McGowan, having a great duel with Jerry Dwan, and he's won the free on this occasion. Gavin McGowan, he's already got a point, and he's got a very presentable free here, and this is a huge moment for Ratoath. They really need a score column to stop the rot.
Absolutely, yeah. The 6 points down already in the first half, coming towards the end of the second half, and it's been they had a real purple patch there for a couple of minutes, but it's Trim who have dominated the last 10 minutes. So trying to get the ball into Gavin McGowan, I think that's wise. Try to get it out to Gavin in a bit of space there. Jared Dwan, he's on that yellow card. He needs to be careful so he can't give away too many more frees as well. So good intelligent play from Ratoath, but this is an important score, like you said, Davey.
Absolutely, and it's going to be Podge O'Hanrahan, normally ever reliable, to step up and try and stop the rot, really, because it's been 1-3 without reply for Trim since Ratoath have got their last score, and it's a huge one. They haven't scored since the 17th minute. That's 10 minutes elapsed since their score, and Podge O'Hanrahan does put an end to that particular stat and gets Ratoath moving again. The margin is now 5.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's just maybe Ratoath saying we need to settle things down a little bit, stick to the game plan. We have a game plan, let's not panic too much. Yes, Trim have their purple patch, but we just need to settle down, play our own game.
Yeah, and they'll be looking forward to getting into half-time, and any score that they could get between now and then without conceding will be of benefit to them. And that was lovely play by Cian Rogers off towards Pádraig Byrne, who plays it long into space where Gavin McGowan is out in front once more. He's got Jerry Dwan for company, and he just shoves him aside, and he has a go with a strop it dangerously. It was kept in almost by Bobby O'Brien, loose pull on, but the umpire indicates that it was gone wide. Another potentially risky moment back there for Trim, but they have defended well in the main.
They have, yeah, and as a neutral you might say, I wonder why Gavin McGowan is shooting from that angle, but Gavin McGowan is actually supremely accurate from that area. I know that time it didn't go over the bar, but again, that's probably the focus. Get the ball out to Gavin McGowan, the county star of hurling over the years, obviously in the football panel with Meath this year as well, so I'm sure he still has the sharpness on the hurling side of things as well.
Absolutely, and he's been playing extremely well as of late. James Toher from way out the field having a crack at that. Crowley was standing really cool, calm and collected again, and lovely distribution as well by the goalkeeper to find Dara Kelly, who belts it long up towards the full forward line. Great play by Dimmy Higgins though to get out and win it, and he plays it off nicely towards Joey Cole, now across towards Conor Quigley. He's been rather subdued in this first half. He's a really talented dual player in the Trim club and very capable of influencing the game in a meaningful way, as is this man, Kieran O'Rourke. Lovely pop pass across, but it just didn't go to hand because Mikey Cole was moving forward all the time, and it was picked up in the end by Dahi McGowan. McGowan is content to cut it inside. We haven't seen a whole pile from Dahi McGowan, and I suppose Michael Connolly will be looking for a lot more from him in the second half as well.
Yeah, I think like you say, Davey, I think Ratoath will probably be happy to get in half time, maybe damage limitation the last couple of minutes, and just maybe reset things a little bit here, maybe plan things around, shift things around the half back line. We've seen that half forward line there of Trim really causing damage, so the half time break will be crucial to see how they mix things up.
Dara Kelly with the ball in, and it's flicked well to Cian Rogers. He tried to push it through the smallest of gaps, but nothing doing on that occasion. Trim have it back, but caught in possession was Conor Quigley, but rescued in the end by Joey Cole, who plays it long in towards Mikey Cullen, and Cullen has been wrestled out over the sideline. Stephen Masterson's just content to let it play, and Cullen's done extremely well to find Cole. Now Cole got in on goal, chance for Cole! Oh! Across the face of the goal and wide. Another genuine goal chance that occasion to Mikey Cole, but wonderful play by Cullen. He's such an industrious player over on the far side, and he really created that goal chance.
He did, yeah, and good refereeing by Stephen Masterson there as well, just to let it flow. I do think Mikey Cullen was fouled on that occasion. He was kind of been held back from the ball, but he used his strength there, managed to get the ball into Cole, and another chance there for Trim.
Absolutely. Trim trying to finish with a flourish here. Here's Dylan Farrell. We're into stoppage time. We're not quite sure what's been added, but we have almost a minute of it played, so there can't be too long left in this opening half. 2 minutes added, and Alan Douglas has claimed that one, and he's been wrestled around, and that's lovely play by Douglas. Long direct ball by James Toher, the 2 old reliables. They've done that for countless amount of years, Colm. They're on the one wavelength, and Douglas won it out in front, got the free, and surely a score.
Absolutely, Davey, and like you said, they've been playing for years. They know what the other is going to do, but the crucial thing about that is it had a bit of an angle on the ball. The ball was a diagonal ball. It wasn't just lumped in high. It allowed Douglas to use his strength to get the hand on it to the outside of the defender, and then maybe the defender had no choice but just to get physical and give away the free.
Yeah, and I think it was 2 minutes of stoppage time added on. Martin O'Halloran just announced it when that play was just happening, so could well be the last act of very enjoyable first half of action, and a chance for James Murray, who's arguably been the star of the show in this first half, to put 6 points between the sides again, and he does just that. So 1-8 to Trim, 5 points to Ratoath, and even with the 80 of the elements column, 6 points is a solid lead at half time.
Absolutely, I think Trim will be happy, certainly with the last 10 minutes of how they've exerted their dominance in this game. As you said, Davey, as just the halftime whistle goes, that wind is very strong. As we saw in the minor game, the wind did contribute a lot in the second half, but still, Ratoath, they won't be happy. You mentioned a couple of lads that they need to get into the game. The likes of Jack McGowan, the likes of Ben McGowan, Dahi McGowan, those sort of lads. Pádraig O'Hanrahan is battling hard as well. Bobby O'Brien we haven't seen a whole lot of. Cian Rogers now and then has got on the ball, but There's a couple of lads just maybe the game is passing them by a little bit, and that's shown on the scoreboard.
Absolutely, it's a big team talk for Michael Connolly and his management team, who are just deliberating down underneath us in the tunnel. Trim will be more the happier the side. They lead by 1-8 to 5 points at half time. We'll take a little bit of a break and we'll be back for second half coverage in a couple of moments.